Welcome to This Week in Tiger Athletics. I'm your host, Haley White, and joining me today is Paige Utterback, a redshirt senior defender from New London, Missouri. Paige helped the women's soccer team go 1-1 this past weekend, falling at Emporia State before beating Nebraska Kearney on the road on Sunday. She was part of a defense that held the Lopers scoreless in a 2-0 win. It was the third shutout this season for FHSU as the Tigers improved to 3-2 overall. Congrats on the win Sunday at Kearney. How nice was it to bounce back with the victory after a tough loss at Emporia State?
It was very nice. We definitely needed that. Friday, obviously, heads were down. As a team, we definitely didn't think that we should have lost to them, and we are definitely ready to face them on Sunday this week. But coming back with that win, it just gave us a great mentality to work through this week and really push to be able to come back and beat them this Sunday.
And Emporia State struck for 3 goals in the second half Friday. Did you guys feel like you had something to prove defensively on UNK on Sunday?
We definitely did as a whole defense, and myself individually, we definitely had something to prove against our team that we played Sunday. They didn't score. They only had 1 shot on us, and as a defense, that brought our mindsets up and our self-esteem back up, so we're ready to face our teams this next weekend.
So with that win, that pushed you guys above 500 for the season. How important is it to get things rolling and heading into MIAA play?
It was very crucial for us. We definitely needed the wins, and getting back above 500 was very good for us. We want to be a team that obviously is top in our conference, and as well, we want to make it to the national tournament, so getting above 500 is very important.
And you guys get to play in front of a home crowd twice this weekend. First against Washburn before starting MIAA play against Emporia State. How nice will it be to play in front of a home crowd this weekend?
It's going to be great. We hope that the stands are packed. We have tons of fans that just get us ready to go and really motivated. We've only played 1 game at home so far this year, and so being a senior, I'm living for these moments under the lights with my people.
How did you like the scheduling this year where you see MIAA teams prior to starting MIAA play?
It's great. It's kind of a little scouting report for us. Not only do we get to see how we all do against them, but individually we get to know what we need to tweak in our game just so we're ready for the next time to be able to bring the heat.
The team has only played 1 game at home this season so far, but has held its own on the road. What does that say about the team's toughness?
I think it speaks volumes, actually. Being on the road, there's so many different factors that can affect a player. I mean, stiff legs, getting off the bus. Like this weekend we traveled. You just got to have the right mindset and just know that not only are you playing for yourself and a win, but you're playing for the person next to you. It's a team sport, so you just got to make sure you're doing all you can do. And the mental toughness just says it's for itself. Like you just got to do it for everybody else around you.
And so far this season, all 3 of your wins have been shutouts. How does that feel as a team?
That feels great. Defense isn't just defensive positions on the field. It starts with our target forward. And so the fact that we have defense that starts so high, it's really good for our team because you don't play it just on the back line. It's everywhere. And so I think that our shutouts not only speaks for the defensive line, it speaks for our whole team because it's a team effort, and it starts up top.
And heading into last season, you thought that would be your last season in your collegiate career, but then you suffered an injury that ended your season early. How difficult was that to deal with?
Obviously, at the time, I was extremely bummed. I never thought that I would have to redshirt my last year. Unexpectedly, my best friend and roommate also suffered another injury that caused her to have to redshirt. And in the weirdest way, it made us very, very close. We went through it together, and I just had my teammates picking me up. And on top of that, I get another year to be a kid. And also, I was still around the girls during the year that I redshirted. So I was honestly still a part of the team. And then that I get another year to train. I got another spring season. And so now I get my last year, and we just hope to do really big things with this season.
So now that you have that second chance, what do you hope to get out of that second chance personally?
Well, I want to be closer with all of the girls because, I mean, it's not just about soccer. It's about the relationships you build. But then on the soccer aspect, I want to make it to nationals. I want to go as far as we can as a team. And then we only lost 1 player this past year, so just hopefully to capitalize on the opportunities that we could have had last year and just go as far as we possibly can.
And to touch more on that, you guys have a lot of talent this year. So what is that mindset? for the rest of the season?
We do have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent all over the field. We don't have one position that's weak, so we just need to, as a group, capitalize on each aspect on the field. Like, so our defense, we got those shutouts. We just need to continuously do that. Our midfield, we have girls that can play great through balls and can also strike great shots. So just capitalize on that. And then our forwards making those creative runs, which they did it really well on Sunday. So just taking all of those aspects and forming it and meshing it together as a team and just going out and killing it.
And you guys are picked third in the preseason behind Central Oklahoma and Central Missouri. Both of those teams have done well on a national scale. Do you think it's time for FHSU to get their name out there nationally?
I definitely think it's time. I don't think that there's any way we can't compete with either one of those teams and with any of the teams in the national tournament. So it's time FHSU makes a stand and we get our names out there.
You've played each of your 3 seasons under head coach Blake Reynolds. How has he helped elevate the program and your individual game?
Blake's a very personable guy, so no one feels afraid to go up and ask him questions, and he's also one who is not afraid to point out your mistakes. Myself personally, like, he knows when to call me out, like, and he'll call me out in front of the group, and we need that accountability if we want to be the best that we can be, so he really pulls out the best from each player.
And there are a lot of high expectations for this squad this season. How does the team try to manage all of those expectations?
So with those high expectations, first of all, we have Blake, who's the head playmaker. He draws it out of us, but we also have amazing captains, Taryn Schnell and Shayla Podlina, who lead our group with grace and dignity and compassion. And so with that compassion just comes like the hard work. If we don't have a good practice, they hold us accountable. We're either on the line or we have some type of punishment just so we know if the level isn't good enough that we need to bring it up to here. We're not going to come down.
A lot of people might not realize how tough this conference is in women's soccer. UCM won the national title 2 years ago, and both UCM and UCO advanced deep in the national tourney last year. What will it take to get by both of those teams this season?
It's going to take a lot of hard work. Our practices, and there's no goofing around, no lollygagging. We leave it all out there, so we're ready to leave it all out there on the field. They're both very good teams, UCO and UCM. But we're just as good. We can make it there if we want. It's just about the hard work and the effort. Not only are we talented, but so are other teams in the conference. So it's going to be a blood battle, but I think my team and I are ready to go.
Have you ever been a part of a team this talented before?
No, I don't think I have. I've been a part of very good teams, but I think the thing that sets us apart is our desire. We really want it, and I think heart and character speak volumes, and that heart and character are going to take our talent and our accountability to the next level.
If you could write a picture-perfect ending to this season, what would it look like?
Picture-perfect ending. I would have to say definitely making it as far as we can in a national tournament. And I would say probably beating UCM and UCO out for the conference championship. That would be pretty great.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Paige.
Thank you for having me.
When we return, we'll break down the rest of this week in athletics.
He often climbs to the 3rd floor of Rarick without taking a second breath. No matter when he submits his assignment to Blackboard, it is considered early, even if it is 5 days late. The line at Starbucks parts when he arrives. He considers the homecoming bonfire a small flame for s'mores. Every time he walks downtown, it's considered a march to Maine. His doodles on scrap paper are framed and hung in Rarick Hall. Once he parked in a 30-minute zone overnight, and the campus police left him a thank you note and a gift card.
I don't always party, but when I do, I register with SGA. Now party responsibly, my friends.
Welcome back. Joining me now is FHSU SID Ryan Prickett, and he's going to help me break down the rest of this week in athletics. So a pick by Isaiah Creel Musgrave during the opening minutes of the overtime ultimately led FHSU football to a 41-38 win over Washburn as All-American Dante Brown kicked a 30-yard field goal to seal the deal.
Yeah, great win. Amazing battle between both teams. That game had all sorts of momentum shifts back and forth. I was over there at the game. It was really awesome to see us persevere through some of that adversity late in the game. Obviously, you know, we had a lot of stuff happen differently there throughout the game. You know, you get a couple of leads in the first half, they instantly just kind of punch you right back and stay with you, and you know it's tied at halftime. Get a 14-point lead there by the start of the fourth quarter, but then unfortunately we have, you know, a couple of injury type things happen. All of a sudden we're looking at, you know, not being full strength the rest of the game, and how are we going to respond to this? And to honestly, the way we composed ourselves and did that final drive in regulation to get the ball down there, get it in Dante's range. They actually had a shot or two to maybe even win the game in regulation, but that's okay. You know, at least we got down there, got the points, got it, you know, into overtime. And then for Isaiah to step up, there was just that play before where he kind of like tripped, unfortunately, over his own feet, and the guy got loose on fourth down and made a first down to extend their potential of maybe getting a touchdown. And then for him to bounce back on that next play, considering, you know, that he had just got beat on that play before, he didn't hang his head. He comes back, makes an interception, gives us the opportunity, because now it's like you got to feel great having an All-America kicker in your back pocket, so let's just get him, you know, lined up to where he's comfortable. And sure enough, he kicks the game winner, and finally in that ridiculously long streak of losing at Yager Stadium in Topeka as well. So there's all sorts of great things about that game. A very emotional ending to it too. I think all the guys, they knew the significance of that too, and so that's a great win for them to get things jump started. Hopefully for the weeks coming forward, we finally need to get that win taste in our mouth after a couple of, you know, setbacks to start the year, and they already know their backs are against the wall potentially for postseason play and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes going forward for the team, but hopefully there'll be good things to come for football here in the days forward. So.
And they have the opportunity to keep that train rolling at home against Missouri Southern on Saturday. Yeah,
another big game for them this coming week. Missouri Southern, you know, it's a team that struggled really bad the last 2 years in MIAA play, but seeing how they've done here early on in the season, they're actually putting points on the board. So that kind of scares you a little bit against them. Last week, Northwest Missouri handled them okay. I mean, they scored 66, but they gave up 34. And that's a team that's probably going to be in the mix there at the end of the year for NCAA, you know, postseason and things like that, at least in the picture for it. So you got to look at that and say, hey, you know, that's a wake-up call. Missouri Southern may have an offense that comes in here and gives us a little bit of fits. We got to be ready to put up some points on Saturday. So that's not just you know, these last couple of years where you feel like as long as you go take care of your business, run the plays you need to run, you'll be fine and you'll win the game. This year, it could be a different story. This might be, you know, everybody's thinking, oh, Missouri Southern, that's a team that's been really bad last. I wouldn't have that attitude about that going into this week. Obviously, they've elevated their game some this year, and we got to be ready for a team that's desperate. They're 0-3. I mean, they're looking to try and, you know, get themselves elevated in the MIAA and with a new coach and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's one of those things where we got to be ready for that this week.
Yeah, the conference is definitely wide open this season.
Yeah, exactly.
Volleyball split the weekend, losing to Washburn in 3 sets on Friday, and then rallied for a win over Emporia State Saturday to wrap up the weekend.
Yeah, You know, great weekend for the volleyball team to finish with that win over Emporia State. Obviously knew the match at Washburn was going to be tough. That's a returning national semifinalist team right there, and they still have a lot of their talent they did from last year. So, and we were in the second set over there too. We forced them to have to go to extra points to win the second set. So I like a lot of the stuff. Like I said before, the week prior after the Tiger Classic, I saw a lot of good things out of the young kids on the team right now. They're starting to gel together. What they did really well against Emporia, looking at the final stats, is how well they spread the ball around. And to have 5 different people get to basically 10 kills in the match, it's hard for a defense to counter against that because you don't know who we're going to distribute the ball to. And when you can make yourself, you know, multidimensional of who you can go at the defense with, it makes it a lot harder to scout us. And so I like that going forward, that if these young kids on the floor for us right now continue to elevate their game with the veterans that know what it takes to win in this conference, I think volleyball's set up to maybe surprise a lot of people this year with some of that young talent that Jessica has on the squad.
And they'll have a chance to play in front of a home crowd this weekend against Central Oklahoma on Friday and then Newman on Saturday.
Yes, it's going to be kind of similar to last week, where you have one team that's had some really, really good seasons here a few years in a row, which is Central Oklahoma. They've been in the national rankings constantly here and there. And then Newman is a program that's probably trying to figure itself out right now. And going into the MIAA, that's a tough go for them right now to try and, like, hey, we're still trying to get better. And so they haven't even won a match yet this year as of last week. I didn't even check this week, but they were winless after the Tiger Classic because they were here at that tournament as well. And so that's a team that they scare me a little bit, because after seeing what they could do on the floor, they do have some talent out there. It's just they're having a hard time piecing it all together and finishing matches. But I feel like, yeah, we're going to have a really tough game against Central Oklahoma. But after seeing, obviously, how the ladies fared this last week, I'm not really fearing any opponent in the MIAA right now. So if our ladies step up to the challenge, I think they have a great chance to maybe even go 2-0 at home this week. So
Men's soccer moves to 3-3 overall as the Tigers picked up a 2-1 overtime win over Northeastern State and then shut out Rogers State with 2 goals.
Yes, exactly. Great week for them to rebound from kind of those, I guess, head-scratcher results I think we were having there for a couple of weeks. Like, hey, we're a returning national semifinalist. Why are we struggling a little bit right now? We can't even put the ball in the net for 3 games in a row. So the guys kind of, I think, came together as a team really well in that Northeastern State match. Faced another, like the Northeastern State got a goal on us. I can't remember how quick in the game, but it was probably well within the first 10 minutes of the game. And once again, you're looking at, oh God, here we go again. Can we figure out how to score? Can we? And the guys gelled really well. Santiago finally busted the lid off of scoring some goals. Obviously, him struggling early in the year to get one in the net. He had 3 goals this week of the 4 that we scored. So good to see him kind of come out of that funk, if it really was a funk, but there might have been his own expectations he's putting on himself, and that pressure of I got to get a ball in the net and stuff like that, instead of just letting it come naturally within the offense and things like that. So to see them get that win over Northeastern State, big rival of ours, could be right there in the conversation for conference championship with us at the end of the year, as far as like what's expected out of the teams this year. And then Rogers had been an upstart team to start the year that got themselves in the national rankings, and it was kind of weird that we were the team nationally ranked to start the year but fell out of the rankings, and Rogers all of a sudden was in the rankings. But we defended our home win streak and pushed that streak up to 19 matches now, and so hopefully the guys use that as, hey, that's our springboard to continue the success going forward in GAC play. So yeah, hopefully that'll trickle on forward to the matches coming up this week on the road.
The last thing I want to mention this week is during the 10th annual Tiger auction, they raised over $377,000, which tops the record-breaking amount set in 2018.
Yeah, it's great to see that event continue to produce more and more funds for our athletic department on a year-to-year basis. I think a little bit of what helped that number get up this year was the fact that we had more people attend again. It was somewhere, I think, in the neighborhood of 670 people paid to be part of that event. And so that was great to see those efforts, the money being raised towards our athletic department helps us immensely going forward. Big matching gift given by Stephen Tebow. He actually produced a big chunk of that, the $100,000 of that. So, I mean, that was a big thing for us to have him give us money on that higher level too, that just was another value on top of what we already received. So great that the Tiger auction continues to grow year by year. That was now, I think that was our 10th annual auction. So it's crazy to think we've been doing it for a decade now, but it's been a great idea that was, I guess, just brainstormed by the athletic department here, a decade ago, and it's really flourished in its time here, and we hope to continue to see those numbers go up and up and up as the years go by. So,
well, thanks for joining me today, Ryan.
Yes.
That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of This Week in Tiger Athletics. And as always, to stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com.